Yo guys, what is happening? What's going on? What is good? Hope you guys are all doing well. Welcome back to another video. So me and Bae, we there she is. We rented out this gorgeous Airbnb for the weekend. We just went out for a really nice fresh walk. We're like in the middle of nowhere kind of, and we're staying on a farm. So we just got back and we're kind of like not really doing anything. So I thought I may as well do a video showing you guys how you can transform your dull, boring portraits into beautiful, professional looking portraits. You don't even have to be a pro, dude. You can use beginner kit lenses. You can use, I don't know, just like simple kit to get your portraits looking amazing, because this is not really about the kit. It's more about like how you use lighting and how you use composition, and also how you pose your model. Those three things will help you get gorgeous looking photos. So what we're gonna do, first tip is lighting, okay? So what you wanna try and find is natural. I absolutely love natural lighting. So what you wanna try and find are windows, okay? So we have one window here. We have another window here. So we have a nice chair there, and then we have a nice chair there, but you don't even have to have them sitting down, they can be standing. So we have a lot to play around with here. That's the first thing done. Next up, we're gonna get our model. Rebecca, please get your butt up. Gracias, señorita. And I want you to just stand right there, okay? Now I want you to face me. Okay. So the problem at the moment is we're not really getting much light. We're kind of getting it from one side, but that's really it. Also, if you stand in front of the window, now people would normally pose their models like this. Now there's like really no lighting. The light is hitting the back of her head. So this is what it would look like if a normal kind of beginner person was taking a portrait. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just angle her. So if you could look outside, so perfect, just like that, right? And do something, now this is where modeling comes handy. I want you to pretend you're tying up your hair. Just stop right there, that's perfect. And I want you to be looking out the window. Perfect, and have your glasses up a bit more.
Yeah, they're slightly.
Perfect, cool. All right, and I want you to just, I don't want you to smile. I want you to kind of just look like your, you know, just normal resting bitch face, I guess. Cool. And now, as you guys can see here, we have like a shadow, but then we have light hitting her face there. So we can make beautiful use of this. Cool, let's have you sitting down. So if you get that chair. Now, once again, guys, we're using complete natural light, okay? So what I want you to do, Rebecca, is I want you to, once again, kind of like, yep, face me just like that. And I want you this time to look at me, all right? Yeah, I like that, that's awesome. So we have now light hitting the side of her face, whereas before, we kind of had the light hitting her face here, but then nothing there. So it gives us a nice, real big contrast. So this time we have a nice even light hitting her face, and then we have nice shadows here. So we'll make use of that. And this time we're just gonna have her posing rather than doing anything. We're gonna, in fact, get you to put your chin up a little bit. So this helps distribute the light. Cool, and maybe down a tiny bit. Cool, perfect. And I want you to look at me. Also, what I'm doing is I'm using f4.5 rather, my lens goes down to f1.4. And that helps a lot because it just blurs out the background, like mega blurred out. But because I want to target a lot of people who have kit lenses where the f-stop goes to like f4.4 max, that's what I'm using for taking these photos is f4.5. So what we can also do, portraits, by the way, as Rebecca's sitting there like that, just keep looking out. So portraits don't always have to be the subject looking at the camera, okay? It can be like intimate, nice intimate moments. So this is gorgeous here, so we're gonna take a picture of that right there.
Hard and above your ear, it's funny.
Yeah. So I know I said never take head-on photos, right? But this kind of only applies if she's looking directly at me. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Rebecca look down. Okay, so now we have like a nice silhouette. We can get a really nice silhouette type portrait here. So let's rock and roll. With silhouettes look so good in black and white. So I would say if you have any silhouette photos, make them black and white. My God, they're gonna look so arty. Also, when you're taking portraits, make sure you take it portrait-wise, like that. Don't take them landscape, because I don't know, portraits always just, that's why they're called portraits, aren't they? Because, you know, you take them portrait-wise. So let's now use the next point, light source point thing, and I'll show you some other photos that we're gonna get. So this time we're gonna get a little bit more innovative. Rebecca, could you sit down on that chair there? And just like pretend you're on your phone. That one there, yeah. I really like, for me, kind of candid portraits rather than very set up portraits. So yeah, we're gonna, if you could see, yeah, the left side of your hair, yeah, if you could just put that kind of behind your ear. Yeah, perfect. Now see that light? We're capturing the light on her face. So before it was covered, but now that we have that light source, it'll just kind of disperse on her face a lot more nicer. So yeah, let's see what this looks like. Okay, cool. So while I was trying to figure out other stuff we could record, because I want to make this video 8 minutes long so I can put multiple ads on it, Rebecca noticed that there's this is awesome. Now I hate taking photos during harsh light days because I like so when you're taking photos, usually cloudy days are so much better because you get like a diffused light. Basically the clouds, when they cover the sun, it acts as like a diffusion, which gives you a nice soft light. Whereas harsh days like this, although not the best, they make really good black and white photos, but you sometimes get nice harsh kind of shadows like this. So Rebecca was like, do you want me to sit here? Yes, sort of. I'm actually gonna tell you to do something a bit different. I want you to put your face on the block here. So you're gonna lie down and place your face there. And you're gonna look this direction, look like the camera. Yeah, let me explain my settings. Normally for me, portraits, I like to have the f-stop open as much as possible. Now you can only do this if you have a lens. They call it a fast lens, which basically means a lens that can go down to like f2.8, f1.8, f1.4. That means that the iris opens up a lot more, which means it lets in more light, which means it's a faster lens, which also means the background is a lot more blurrier. So whenever you see photos of like, you know, portraiture photos where the background is just like super buttery blurry, the way they get that is by having a very low f-stop, and I'm talking f1.8, f1.4. For example, this 35mm lens goes down to f1.4, and I love it because the image is like nice and soft, the background is nice and blurry. Obviously for this video, I took all the photos on f4.5 just so that, you know, I can relate to a lot of beginners who don't have like the lenses that can go down to f1.8, f1.4. Next up, ISO. I like to keep my ISO as low as possible. This decreases the amount of grain. Now, for me, portraiture, I like my portraits to have a bit of grain, so I do that in post. You want that ability to do it in post. What you don't want is to import your photos and you have the grain there, because getting rid of it is a nightmare to the point where you just kind of can't. Otherwise, if you use the grain removal setting, it will mess up your photo. It'll just look pretty bad. So I like to have my ISO kind of down. In terms of shutter speed, I kind of just go crazy with the shutter speed. If the picture is too bright, I'll bring the shutter up. If it's not dark, if it's not light enough, I'll bring it down so that it brightens up, but I don't bring it down to more than like 1/100th. What is that, 1/100th shutter?
Yeah, 1/100th of a second.
1/100th of a second, that's the one. I always say 1/100th of a shutter. I'd never bring it down to 1/100th of a second, because what I find is like, if I'm a bit shaky, you'll get that shake, you'll get that motion blur in the image. I don't want that unless I'm doing it by purpose. In fact, let me show you what that will look like. Because there's some really cool stuff you can do with your shutter. I'm going kind of off the deep end here, but I'm gonna take a portraiture to show you what it'll look like when your shutter speed is very, very slow. Check this out. Rebecca, yeah. I'm gonna need you real quick. Okay. Back to your position. If you sit down there. Cool. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is I'm gonna bring the shutter speed down, like quite down. I'll figure out what the shutter speed is once I take the photo.
Okay.
I'm gonna get you to just shake your head.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
My settings for that was 1/5 of a second at f10 at ISO 100. Obviously the f10 now is so that it can get darker, because when you bring that shutter down, it's going to brighten up the image. But you can do really cool stuff like that where they just look like a ghost or something, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with portraiture. It doesn't just have to be portraits in the house. You can take portraits outdoors too. Just be like experimental with your lighting, because in my opinion, I think lighting does wonders for portraits. And what you always want to try and do with portraits is have a light coming from one source, okay? Either from like this one, like look at this here, right? You have one side, the light's coming, whereas the other side is kind of a lot more shadows. It makes it, that honestly makes it more cinematic. You can have, you can do portraits where like the face is just evenly lit, but what you'll find with that is that it will look flat. So, composition, lighting, make sure the lighting is not flat lighting, okay? So one side, and then also how you model your subject. Make sure they're doing something. Make sure they're doing something interesting. Don't just have them standing there like that or smiling. Because what you want to do with your portraits is have like, you want to make it look like artistic. I've seen a lot of portraits where it just looks flat because the subject is not really doing anything. You know, you want to kind of capture these people doing things like mid doing something, because it just makes it a bit more interesting, you know?